welcome to this edition of Environment and to Green Grenoble, which according to a recent survey has become France's leading ecological town. Urban zones take up just 2% of the world's surface, but they're responsible for 75% of the energy consumed and 80% of CO2 emissions. In this edition, we're going to be looking at how Grenoble has taken on the task of keeping the climate cool, becoming a centre for eco-technology. We're going to be investigating its environmental inventions in terms of heating, housing and transport. But it's not just here in France that villages are turning over an environmental leaf. Our correspondents in China will bring us to towns where most of the locals are now depending on the sun for their showers. And finally, we'll be going to Nicaragua, where a fresh breeze is blowing away their dependence on oil. So first, back to France's model metropole. Energy efficiency is the motto here, with over 4,000 researchers and 3,000 companies entering the eco-technological ring. Let's take a tour now of the environmental innovations flourishing here that are transforming transportation and converting construction.
Françoise isn't afraid of innovation. This property developer was among the first to invest in green buildings. This 7-storey office block is fresh off the construction line. Its intelligent design means noise pollution is not an option.
Because
the motorway is so close, it's 90 decibels just outside the window. And inside, 38.
Some floors are still awaiting their finishing touches, but already the building displays its environmental qualities. Making good use of natural resources, it pumps geothermal energy from the ground and absorbs the sun's rays from the sky.
We're on the roof, where we have a sizable solar energy station.
The building doesn't stand alone. It is in fact at the heart of a new ecological neighbourhood. A zone that was once heavily industrialised has been given a green makeover, and it's not the only area in the city to make the change.
We've taken the crisis as an opportunity. For us, it's the time to invest in the future, and we're aiming to create a very strong centre of energy, targeting green energies and eco-technology. Grenoble lies in a valley surrounded by mountains and has a dense habitation. In fact, we have the same problems as other towns, only multiplied.
Over the next 6 years, more than €1 billion are to be invested in creating a centre of environmental excellence in Grenoble.
Didier is an engineer who leads a company that hopes to transform transportation, producing a product much sought after by the automobile industry and indeed governments who want to show their green intentions. It's the lithium-ion battery. Lighter than other rechargeable batteries of the same size, it looks set to take its place as the future fuel for cars. At this site, the prototypes look promising, but the high amounts of energy held in the battery's bars needs to be tightly controlled.
We test the battery because if we leave any trace of water or oxygen in a battery, then during its lifespan a chemical reaction will occur and we'll have problems.
Highly complex but also high in price, and recycling the batteries will be another battle, something Grenoble is already looking into. But neither roadblock is slowing down production.
Here we've assembled 1,000 cells with the electronic circuit. That's what you need.
Didier has already tested that the Segway runs smoothly on the batteries. The world's first lithium-ion powered cars are expected to hit the road at the end of next year.
And finally, giving heating an overhaul. This factory wants to fan the flames of cleaner energy by adopting great amounts of biomass, which is deemed better for the environment. Here they use wood. Carbon neutral, the company claims, because any CO2 emitted is reabsorbed by the vegetation grown to keep the cycle going. Little by little, they hope to increase the amount of wood used and reduce the more polluting factors.
So we have 3 heaters in this factory, one of which runs on wood and coal, and which generates 63 megawatts of power.
Cutting the amount of coal burned is the ultimate aim to avoid heavy CO2 emissions. This centre already uses over 40,000 tonnes of wood to help heat 12,000 homes for a year. It currently relies on recycled material.
Today, there's 30 million tonnes of wood that are rotting away after a storm. That's enough material for 10 years of energy for France.
Even without the storms, the director believes proper forest management and anticipated replanting should enable them to supply heating that doesn't add to global warming.
Well, we're going to go now to China, which still lags behind in terms of using renewable energy sources. However, Beijing has set some definite targets. It wants 15% of its energy needs to be met by sustainable materials by 2020. Some villages have already switched on to solar power.
The so-called green revolution is an everyday part of Zhong Wen's son's life. She bought a solar-powered water heater a year ago after neighbours told her about its energy-saving potential.
Everyone in the building was using these heaters, so we thought we'd give it a try. The equipment is simple and easy to use for both water and electricity, so we don't use more energy than we need.
Zhong Wen lives in the Chinese city of Dezhou. 80% of its 5.5 million inhabitants now use solar-powered water heaters. The equipment doesn't come cheap at €500, but that cost is offset over 5 years by energy bill savings. The city's now the centre of global production for these kinds of heaters.
We have now overtaken both the Americans and Europeans in terms of technology and efficiency in building solar-powered water heaters for private homes.
More than 2 million square metres of solar-powered piping is made in Dezhou each year. That's about the same as the entire production capacity of the European Union and twice that of the United States. But despite China's large-scale production of alternative energy systems, its use of renewable resources remains limited. Over 75% of Chinese electricity needs are met by coal-fired power stations. The country aims to use sustainable sources for 15% of its primary energy consumption by 2020.
And while China hasn't yet adopted the use of solar panels across its entire country, it has become one of the leading producers of these and wind turbines, opening up a very large market that stretches as far as Nicaragua. The energy-starved nation has turned to the wind in order to reduce its dependence on oil.
At the foot of the twin volcanoes Conception and Madeiras lay fields and a windswept valley, precisely the ideal place to set up 19 wind turbines. The 126-metre-high pylons have reshaped the landscape. In this poor country, the high-tech devices have also become a local attraction. Even Ninonska, who lives nearby, is wondering what has suddenly appeared at the end of her garden.
We want to know what they are and what they're going to be used for. Apparently they can collect energy, but I don't know anything else.
What Ninonska doesn't know is that 100 kilometers further north, the government has made the decision to turn to alternative energies. 34% of the country's energy is already produced by geothermal and hydroelectric power. These wind turbines will help the country reduce its dependency on Venezuelan oil.
With this project, we will be able to supply energy to 200,000 households. The energy produced by these turbines will replace oil-powered energy and will cost 3 times less.
The government has estimated that at the current price of fuel, it will save up to $9 million per year with these wind turbines. Considered up until recently as technology used by rich countries to fight against global warming and pollution, alternative energies are also a solution to economic preoccupations of poorer countries.
Well, here in Grenoble, the sun is setting, bringing to a close this edition of Environment. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again next time.